Hello everybody, my name is Dragon. Welcome back my channel Health Fitness 1047. Here is the episode new. Follow me.
Okay, let's unpack this. We've got a really fascinating set of sources here, kind of pulling back the curtain on the world of gemstones and jewelry in Vietnam.
Yeah, it's a complex world.
And this deep dive is really for you if you want to get informed quickly and thoroughly, get those aha moments, but, without feeling totally swamped.
Exactly, a shortcut to understanding.
So our mission today really is to explore all the different facets of this industry. We're talking the science side, like appraisal, training, then the retail experience, buying those finished pieces.
The shiny stuff.
Right. And even that, often misunderstood world of trading rough stones.
Yeah, the very beginning of the journey.
We're pulling insights from places like the Duduji Lab Institute, jewelers like IJC and TT Gemstone, and even those YouTube videos showing the rough stone markets, real boots on the ground stuff.
A good mix of perspectives.
Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting. We're going to sort of follow the path a gem might take, starting with the formal science, the gemology side,
The foundation.
then moving into what consumers see, the jewelry, the feng shui items,
Yeah.
and then we'll circle back to that raw, pretty risky business of trading rough stones, including some, eye-opening bits about potential scams.
It's quite a journey, isn't it? High-tech labs, dusty markets, personal beliefs. It's all in there.
So let's start at the beginning then. The foundation. Gemology and appraisal, our sources really point to the Doje Lab as a key institution in Vietnam.
It definitely seems to be. It started as a center back in 2009, I think, and then became a full institute in 2012, sort of the scientific bedrock for quality and trust there.
Okay, so what are their main jobs? What do they actually do?
Primarily, it boils down to two critical things, appraisal and training.
Appraisal first.
Right. So they provide those essential services for, pretty much everything. Loose diamonds, colored stones, precious metals, finished jewelry.
They even go on site.
They do, yeah, which is pretty convenient. And for verifying things, they've got online certificate lookups, Chaiguchgu, and even e-reports now, Tungtu Online.
Ah, okay. So you can check the certificate yourself online.
Exactly. Brings transparency right to your fingertips, which is crucial.
Definitely sounds useful for, both consumers and businesses. What about the training side? Is this something people can actually learn?
Oh, absolutely. They offer courses, both online and in person. You can learn basic diamond grading or broader gemology and appraisal skills.
So it's accessible.
Yeah. And they also play a big role in connecting the local industry with global knowledge. They organize workshops, seminars, sometimes international ones.
On what kind of topics?
Things like synthetic diamonds, which is a huge, constantly evolving area, or the specifics of jade, which is culturally super important in Vietnam and the region.
I saw how gemology as a profession was described in the sources. It sounded like quite a mix.
It really is. They describe it as this blend of science, business, art, history, even travel. It's demanding, you have to keep up with new finds, new treatments, synthetics.
So never boring, I guess?
Definitely not static, no.
Yeah.
Always something new.
And staying current means research, right? Are they actively digging into what's changing?
They are. They have their lab notes and Doje Lab bulletins where they report on industry news and their own research. They look into new gem sources, both local Vietnamese ones and global ones.
And specific stone characteristics.
Yeah, inclusions, those internal features. Things like specific growth cavities you might find in a ruby, or identifying inclusions in rarer stones like pezitite. Understanding those is key to knowing a stone's origin and if it's been treated.
Ah, treatments. That seems like a really big area for labs like this.
It's crucial because treatments can dramatically change how a stone looks and its value, obviously. They study things like heat-treated ruby and sapphire that improves or changes the color,
Okay.
or stones that have been irradiated, or emeralds where tiny fractures are often filled to make them look clearer. Detecting all that is vital for an accurate appraisal.
And then you have the synthetics. Lab-grown stones. They're getting better all the time, aren't they?
Exactly. Identifying lab-grown stones is a major focus now. They research stones made using HPHT, that's high pressure, high temperature,
Right.
or CVD, chemical vapor deposition, which is growing layers from gas. They even look into these so-called hybrid diamonds, which involve both natural and lab processes. It's a complex stuff.
And that requires some serious equipment, I imagine.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Things like spectroscopes, which analyze how light interacts with the stone, helps identify elements or treatments. Refractometers measure how light bends as it passes through. That's a key identifier for the material. And FTIR technology.
FTIR.
Fourier transform infrared spectroscopy. It's a way to analyze the chemical makeup, really good at spotting certain treatments or synthetics that other methods might miss.
Wow.
They also focus on things like spotting fake certificates or understanding how authentic seals should look. It's all about maintaining integrity.
So they're really on the front lines, scientifically speaking, protecting the market. And they have a museum, too, with actual specimens.
Yes, they do. Showcasing stones they've collected, mostly from Vietnam. It's where the science kind of meets the raw beauty of the materials they study.
Fascinating. Okay, so that's the rigorous scientific side. But where do most people actually encounter these stones? That brings us to, the retail experience.
Right.
Where these raw materials, maybe certified by Doji Lab, get turned into beautiful things people buy. Sources like IJC and TT Gemstone give us a window into that.
Exactly. These businesses are dealing directly with consumers, selling finished products.
And it's not just your standard rings and necklaces, is it, based on the sources?
No, much more than that. I mean, they definitely sell the usual jewelry rings, earrings, bracelets, pendants, wedding stuff, using diamonds, ruby, sapphire, emerald, aquamarine.
Like classics.
Right, and also stones like citrine, peridot, amethyst, topaz. But a huge part of their business, especially in Vietnam, is feng shui items.
Okay, like what specifically?
Well, statues, Buddha, various deities, lots of carved animals like the Pishu, which is mythical. Three-legged toads for wealth, dragons, kylans, lions, even turtle dragons, and then other objects. Stone balls, rough stone pieces displayed for energy, little carved trees, boats, ingots, vases, even stone tea sets and incense burners, pie discs, gourds.
Wow, that's incredibly diverse. It really speaks to the cultural significance, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It shows that deep connection between gemstones and feng shui beliefs there. Both companies, IJC and TT Gemstone, really emphasize helping customers choose items based on these traditional systems.
Like matching stones to your element.
Exactly. Your element, Met Kim, Mok, Thusi, Hafa, Tho, or your zodiac sign or your birth month. TT Gemstone even brings numerology, Tun Sohak, into it.
So the choice isn't just about, ooh, pretty, it's deeply personal and symbolic.
Very much so. And the customer feedback seems to reflect that. People really value the sheer variety and uniqueness.
Yeah, I saw a comment about IJC saying it's almost impossible to find duplicate products.
Right. That uniqueness is a big selling point. And TT Gemstone, being near the non-Nuak stone carving village, they even mention offering custom carving, so you can get something truly one of a kind.
And if you're buying something with that much personal meaning, the customer service has got to be good.
Oh, for sure. Customers mentioned staff knowledge, especially on the feng shui side at IJC. Some TT Gemstone customers even shared stories about, positive life changes they felt came from wearing their pieces.
Interesting.
And trust is huge, too. IJC got praise for having apparently the highest ratio buyback and exchange policies compared to others. That builds confidence.
And gifting these items is common, too.
Yeah, especially for business clients, that was mentioned. It shows that blend of personal belief, artistry, and commerce.
Okay, it's clear this part of the industry is about much more than just selling gems.
Yeah.
Now, let's shift gears quite dramatically
Okay.
to a side of the gem world that's, well, less polished, more raw. The rough stone trading. We saw those YouTube videos from markets like Luc Yen and Yenbai province.
Right, this is often where the stones start their journey out of the ground. A totally different atmosphere from the labs and shops. And you see that practice, dotai or mopat.
Stone breaking or opening bowls.
Yeah, cracking open a rough stone, hoping for treasure inside.
And the big question, is this the path to easy riches it sometimes looks like online?
According to these sources, absolutely not. The reality on the ground is way more complex and, frankly, much riskier.
I was actually surprised by some of the prices mentioned for rough stones in that Luc Yen video. They didn't sound cheap.
Not at all. You hear phrases like Kongradao, it's not cheap, or Kalakang, meaning quite tight or expensive.
Yeah.
The video gave examples. What was it? A half-carat citrine rough for 2 million VND?
Yeah, something like that. And a ruby for 13 million.
Or 2.7-carat ruby, yeah. And bigger rubies around 5 million VND per carat. One large stone was priced at 80 million VND. So while you might see those little bags of rough for maybe 100,000 VND, the good stuff is expensive. The video mentions why. Quality stone is getting scarce. On no ray, yeah, the stone is scarce now.
So those cheap bags are probably mostly junk.
Likely, yeah. Which brings us right to the risks. Why is it so tough, even for people who do this all the time? Well, the basic problem is that most rough stones just aren't worth breaking open. The sources use descriptions like a detonate lacao, a very high degree of cracking, or the color is just pale,
Okay.
and crucially, for a stone to be cuttable, it needs to sort of suck light in when you shine a torch on it. Put that band on wrong. It needs some internal transparency or clarity. Most rough just doesn't have that.
So that's where the skill comes in, judging the potential.
Exactly. Experienced traders look for mata, or these visible signs or warning eyes on the surface that might hint at the inside. And using that strong light to see if that hutan is critical. They even call it tukdabdak, like stabbing the stone with light.
Huh. Interesting term.
And there's that saying, da now fit.
What the skin is, the flesh is.
Pretty much. The outside strongly indicates the inside. Finding a gem inside a really ugly-looking rough stone. Very rare.
And even if it looks promising, you might be aiming for different qualities inside.
Right. The sources mention two main goals. One is breaking for kamaton. That's cabochon-grade material. You expect cracks, but you want fine cracks suitable for a smooth, polished cab. They used to say cabs always have cracks.
Okay.
The other goal is facet grade. That's where you're hoping for clean, transparent areas big enough to cut faceted gems, like in a ring. Much harder to find.
So even with a promising stone, the good part inside might be tiny or flawed.
The failure rate is described as really high, even for the pros. One source said, "Thukancheknio de chokon fayandelo," meaning even the pros lose money often. It's not easy pickings.
Yeah.
It's incredibly easy to just nemten kwaku soul, throw money out the window doing this.
And sadly, where there's high risk and maybe some desperation, there are scams. Especially online, it seems.
That's a big warning from that Vitron Chetro video, the one called Exposing the Tricks. Online scams targeting people interested in old patch or just buying rough stones seem unfortunately common.
What kind of tricks do they pull?
The source mentions using a tod, literally rotten stone, worthless stuff, or just basic quarry stone. They might do things like wash a pile of junk rough, then secretly add a few nice clean stones afterwards to make it look like a lucky find on camera.
Deceptive.
Very. Or they misrepresent common cheap stones,
Yeah.
passing off fluorite or amethyst as if it's valuable spinel or ruby. Easy to fool someone who doesn't know better.
Which loops right back to the need for knowledge, doesn't it? Connecting the lab, the market, the buyer. Education is key.
Absolutely. The core advice from that video is get educated about gems, research your sellers thoroughly, and don't make impulsive buys. Avoid spending based on emotion. Those polished, successful videos online, often staged or just highly misleading.
Okay, so what does all this mean for you listening in? We've taken quite a journey, haven't we? A deep dive into this really complex, colorful world. From the, scientific precision of the gem labs with their high-tech gear, researching treatments and synthetics.
Right, the gatekeepers of quality.
To the artistry and deep cultural meaning in the retail shops, with jewelry and feng shui items crafted for personal significance.
Connecting stones to belief.
All the way back to that gritty, high-stakes, high-risk world of trading rough stones right out of the earth, where experience, a good eye, a strong light, and avoiding scams are absolutely critical.
It really does make you think about the whole life cycle of just one single gem.
Yeah.
From deep underground, maybe passed through hands at a dusty market, scrutinized under a microscope in a lab, shaped by an artisan's skill, and then finally, it ends up adorning someone or sitting in their home, holding symbolic meaning. It touches on geology, chemistry, business, art, culture. And let's be honest, a fair bit of luck too. And maybe this raises a final thought to mull over. Given all these complexities, the scientific knowledge needed, the artistry, the cultural weight, the sheer risk involved at every single stage, how much of the value we ultimately see in a beautiful finished gemstone piece comes purely from what nature created way back when? And how much comes from everything humans added along the way? The knowledge, the skill, the labor, the belief systems, the market forces, even just pure chance. Where does nature's value end and human value begin? Something to ponder.